On October 6, 1943, at 0227 hours in Blackett Strait, Solomon Islands, the Japanese destroyer Kikuzuki sliced through the inky blackness at 30 knots, her 2,900-ton hull churning a glowing phosphorescent wake that betrayed her position for miles. On the bridge, Commander Toshihiro Nakamura exuded quiet confidence in his warship's formidable arsenal, 400 feet of armored steel, 6 5-inch guns, and 16 torpedo tubes. She was a predator of the Pacific, designed to dominate vast oceans. What Nakamura couldn't see, lurking just 800 yards to starboard, was an 80-foot plywood interloper accelerating to full attack speed. The Americans dubbed her PT-109. To the Japanese, these mosquito-like raiders were Akuma no Hayabusa, Devil's Falcons. In the next 90 seconds, as 3 Packard engines roared to life at maximum throttle, the Imperial Japanese Navy's illusions about small craft warfare would crumble. This was no fluke, it was the culmination of a tactical revolution that had been forged in blood and failure, turning fragile wooden speedsters into the scourge of the seas. The seeds of this transformation were sown not in triumph, but in catastrophe. On April 9, 1942, in the graveyard waters off Bataan Peninsula, Philippines, Lieutenant Commander James Carter's motor torpedo boat Squadron 3, 6 77-foot mahogany-hulled Elco PT boats, scrambled to evacuate personnel as the Philippines teetered on surrender. Each boat bristled with 3 Packard 4M 2500 engines, delivering a blistering 1,350 horsepower and combat speeds of 41 knots, outrunning any destroyer in the Japanese 5th Destroyer Squadron under Captain Hiroshi Tanaka. But raw velocity proved a cruel tease. Armed with 4 Mark 8 torpedoes optimized for submarine hunts, the boats faltered. These weapons demanded lengthy arming distances, shallow depth settings, and finicky detonators ill-suited for surface duels. U.S. Navy Bureau of Ordnance logs paint a grim picture. Through mid-1942, PT torpedo hits hovered below a dismal 10% success rate. The Japanese, ever the meticulous analysts, pored over these early clashes. Captured post-war intelligence reports reveal their smug dismissal. PT boats were mere nuisance weapons, fleet-footed pests lacking the punch to menace capital ships or even destroyers. Captain Mitsuo Yoshida, skipper of the destroyer Amatsukes, captured the prevailing arrogance in his May 1942 action report. The enemy motorboats attain high speeds but sacrifice accuracy in maneuvers. Their torpedoes streak past harmlessly during standard evasions. This hubris would unravel not through a single eureka moment, but via a relentless U.S. evolution in tactics, training, and weaponry, one that Japanese spies overlooked until the noose tightened. At the Motor Torpedo Boat Training Center in Melville, Rhode Island, Lieutenant Commander Robert Montgomery sifted through Pearl Harbor dispatches like a forensic pathologist. By August 1942, patterns crystallized. PT boats thrived in the veil of night and hit-and-run dashes but withered in head-on slugfests. Montgomery's September memorandum, now archived in the National Archives, birthed the P/attack doctrine, blistering approaches from oblique angles, torpedo launches inside 500 yards, and lightning withdrawals at flank speed. Execution demanded symphony-level precision among the commander, torpedo crews, and engine room trio. At 40 knots, a PT boat devoured 68 feet per second, the firing window? A heart-stopping 3 seconds to spot, solve, and strike before vanishing into the murk. Japanese destroyer tacticians, schooled in stately surface battles, anticipated torpedoes from textbook vectors at 2,000 to 5,000 yards, ample time for countermeasures. They had no playbook for knife fight raids, spectral assailants materializing from oblivion, unleashing hell at pistol range, then evaporating before guns could traverse. By late 1942, Montgomery's gospel rippled across Pacific squadrons, rendering Tokyo's intel obsolete overnight. Yet tactics alone couldn't crown the PT boats without mechanical muscle. The revolution's spark ignited in Detroit's garages, where automotive wizards from the 1930s hydroplane races had honed engines for untamed waters. Packard Motor Car Company pivoted their Merlin-derived aircraft powerplants to marine duty in 1939, birthing the 4M2500, a 2,500 cubic inch beast cranking 1,200 horsepower at 2,400 revolutions per minute. 3 per boat, shafted to triple screws, propelled an 80-foot, 56-ton hull, fully laden, to 41 knots, yielding a power-to-weight ratio of 72 horsepower per ton. By contrast, Fubuki-class destroyers mustered just 24 horsepower per ton from 50,000 horses straining against 2,900 tons for a mere 34 knots. Power unchained meant little without poise. Elko and Higgins Industries sculpted hulls that tamed the torrent, planing designs verified at the David Taylor Model Basin, where tests showed boats flying atop the waves at 23 knots. The bow reared 15 degrees skyward, slashing wetted surface by 40% via hydrodynamic lift from twin sponsons and keel. At peak velocity, dynamic forces buoyed 30% of the hull's weight, defying displacement limits that capped destroyers at 1.34 square root, waterline length in feet, or 27 knots for a 400-footer. Breaching that barrier exacted exponential fuel and frailty tolls on Japanese hulls, PT boats, as planing craft, bowed only to thrust and tensile strength. Maneuverability sealed the sorcery. Independent throttle control on each engine enabled hairpin turns, 90 degrees in under 200 yards at 30-plus knots, that would founder conventional ships. Combat logs brim with tales of PTs slicing inside destroyer turning radii, 2,000 yards at 30 knots, rendering evasion a farce. The arsenal's apex arrived mid-1943 with the Mark 13 torpedo, a low-altitude airdrop veteran retrofitted for surface blitzes. Safe at 110-knot drops, arming in 300 yards, it synced flawlessly with slash tactics. Gyro-stabilization let crews fire amid chaos, banishing the Mark 8's ghosts. During the summer of 1943 in the cauldron of New Georgia Sound, Motor Torpedo Boat Squadron 9, under Lieutenant Commander Robert Kelly, honed these edges in the Solomons since June. Blackett Strait's gauntlet, choked narrows where the Tokyo Express thundered supplies every 3 to 4 nights, tested metal. 4 to 6 destroyers, single file at 28 to 30 knots, dismissed threats as beneath notice. Kelly appended that, solo stings yielded to section tactics, trios as symbiotic predators. Lead boat, Illuminator. Second, Striker. Third, Guardian. TBS radios wove their web on unjammable bands, per July 1943 comms logs. Protocol was poetry in peril. Boats lurked, engines idling, whispers against the night, flanked by SCR-517 radars, fielded May 1943, piercing 12 miles. Contact. Fan out 2,000 yards, forging a kill corridor. Lead's 5-second spotlight froze broadsides, attackers etched solutions, loosed Mark 13s. Destroyer dilemmas multiplied, charge the beam and court torpedoes, hold course into ambush, accelerate and ossify. Math mercilessly tilted, a 30-knot destroyer crawled 51 feet per second, Mark 13s, 56 feet per second. From 500 yards? 27 seconds to bite, too scant for doctrine's dances. Lieutenant Bartholomew Connor's PT-59 epitomized on August 2, his trio mauled 2 Cadro-class tin cans in Blackett. 3 fish, 2 strikes, 1 on Hajikes, gutted and limping for 6 weeks yard time. Japanese, 47 dead. Americans, unscathed, under 1,000.50 cal rounds and 3 tubes spent. Veteran destroyer hands, from Pearl Harbor to Java Sea, recoiled at this heresy. Commander Teiji Abe of Mikazuki spilled post-war guts to U.S. interrogators, "We drilled for subs or sister ships, procedures etched in bone. But these imps? Engine growls, then silence. Lights blaze, fish fly. No breath to react. Japanese manuals allotted 17 pages to ASW, 12 to DVD, PTs. 3 paragraphs on archaic scraps. Intercepts from Frupak betrayed the unraveling. August 7th, pleas for air shields. 15th, slashed schedules. 23rd, outright halts. Admitting plywood pests could hobble, capital, destroyers scorched samurai souls, offense idolized, defense demeaned. Lieutenant Commander Anami's October 6 dispatch post, PT, 109 skirmish drip defeat, sudden specter at 40+ knots. Evasion maxed, track grazed 15 meters astern. Port flanker struck amid chaos, third ghosted away. Tactics obsolete, prioritize escorts till cures conjured. None came. Zigzags, extra eyes, hunter-killer screens? Futile. Runs throttled from thrice-weekly to bi-weekly pyres. PTs hadn't damned the express but poisoned it, costly, erratic, soul-crushing. On November 2, 1943, in the slot between Guadalcanal and Tulagi, Iron Bottom sounds hungry maw, dozens slumbered in the depths here, casualties of 2 years' fury. Squadron 15's Lieutenant William Larkin, 4-boat Wolfpack primed, awaited intel, for destroyers, Akikes, Natsukes, Shiratsuyu, Murasame, bound for Vila Plantation from Rabaul at 1800, 28 knots in echelon. Captain Masao Fumio of Akikes wised up, zigzags perpetual, Murasame tailing as mosquito magnet. Larkin's radar net snared them at 2,130, by 2245, the trap, 3-mile vice between islets, sprang. At 2251, PT 167's Lieutenant Edward Cranfield blazed Akikes from 600 yards mid-turn, beam on bliss. 2 Mark 13 spat at 2252. Flankwise, PT 183's Lieutenant Gordon Thompson pounced Natsukes. Vectors crossed, reply to one, blind to the other. Wake spotted at 2,253 to 15 seconds post-plunk. Fumio, hard starboard, all ahead full. Pivot aligned her for Thompson's errant fish, first Mark 13 cratered frame 85, Torpex kissing forward mags. Cataclysm, bow sheared, superstructure pancaked, pyre raging in 90 ticks. Second fish gutted engines, boils burst, flood surged. Akikes heeled port, done. Natsuke's 8-bid aborted under PT 119 fire, misses, but menace enough. Survivors, 101 of 228, plucked later, sang PT praises in horror. Clocked at 26 minutes, 4 PTs vaporized a 40x, heavier foe, 127 souls, aborted run, no scratches. Precision, not bravado. This alchemy brewed from America's forge, not just Yankee ingenuity. Late 43 peaks, Elko's Bayonne churned 80-footers every 4 days, Higgins matched. 70+ monthly, eclipsing Japan's destroyer drip. Economics eviscerated, $250,000 per point versus $3.5 million Fletcher. 1 tin can's gestation. 40 PTs. No arcane yards needed, mahogany in any shed, packets off auto lines. Losses? A fortnight's quota, 12 to 14 souls. Destroyers? Biennial black hole, 200+ vets. Lieutenant Commander Martin Hayes nailed it November 43, trade 3 boats for 1 can, we profit. They can't rebuild, we respawn in days. Japan's yards, war-weary, birthed no analogs. Radars for flea spotting? Nil. Engines for sprinters? Scarce. Fire directors for phantoms? Fantasy. By December, 150-plus PTs in 12 squadrons prowled, 40 Jap cans cowered, shunning PT waters. Comcom-SOPAC Admiral Richmond K. Turner decreed December 15, PTOs, hound all foe lanes. Losses? Negligible, factories outpace graves. Industrial calculus, wooden wasps as disposable daggers. Yet ledgers lie. Humans bled. PT 127's Joseph Brandt's diary, donated 1987, whispers the toll, November 18, lost Jenkins to a clean 5-incher through the ER. Instant. Buried him at dawn, 19, Pacific Dreamer. Saw too much. Wood warded not, shells punched through splintering doom. Med stats, spinal snaps from slams, deafened machinists from 2,400 revolutions per minute symphonies, blaze scars from gas-soaked pyres. Junior skippers, lieutenants under 25, wielded dooms for crews and colossi. Squadron shrink Robert Ward's 44-tome, hyperbonds in 12-man clans amplify grief. Close quarters kills, faces glimpsed, scar deeper than gunnery duels. PTSD rates rivaled infantry, per 70s VA probes. Machinist William Collins of PT 191, 15 scraps, hunters, but one cough, glitch, or fluke. All gone. Fragile rockets we were. Japanese scars mirrored, survivor Hiroshi Takada post-Yudachi doom, elite years, then unreal sprinters from void. Couldn't touch M. Shattered our naval catechism. Transfers begged, shame festered. Solomon's shadows rippled global. Soviets, via Lend-Lease leaks, cloned PT ethos in 44, P4/P, 6 Sparrows for Baltic chills, planing hulls, multimotors, night packs, upgraded to Styx missiles. Israel's 48 berth, necessities spur. 60 SAR missile boats channeled/DNA in 73 Yom Kippur, Gabriel volleys from flanks, hit flee. Tech leaped, tactics endured. U.S. Navy mothballed PTs by 59, jets and birds eclipsed, but ghosts lingered. Vietnam's PBRs riverran with PT principles, velocity, shock, punch versus sampans. Today's literal beasts, Lancers, Cyclops, Echo, Modular, Swift, coastal predators. Naval War College's Daniel Frost's 2019 thesis, Platforms fade, employment endures. Speed plus sink plus adaptation equals David's felling Goliaths. Fall River's PT Museum, 8 relics, PT 796 humming, draws global pilgrims, Israelis, Koreans, Singaporeans. Director Tom O'Connor, 2024, they study the boats that felled giants. Tech shifts, truths stick. The math? Immutable, concentrated velocity plus cheap hordes plus pack hunts of vaunted behemoths. Tokyo Express withered, 12/month 2, love by 44, starving garrisons worse than bombs. 8th Fleet's Isoroku Yamamoto analog, Tomashit Shima, post-war, losses outstripped sustainment. Captures tally, 17 sunk, 23 mauled, 340/month dead, 63% supply/. Psyche crack, elites fleeing juniors. Anathema. Abe, fleeing mites. Betrayed our code. Americans? Pragmatists, tech trumps valor. 4,000 points tons neutered 40,000 Jap. Nimitz's coda, speed plus audacity trump bulk. Disproportionate dividends. No cowardice felled those cans, equations did, velocity's verdict, forge's fury. Plywood at 41 knots schooled samurai on industry, multitudes of might over singular splendor. Iron bottom rusts, but those falcons fire, courage amid calculus, ignites doctrine still. Naval war's axiom, not the mightiest masts win, but the bold who bend physics, production, and psyche to their will. The devils flew, the dragons fell.